Well, welcome everyone. Great to see you all here. I feel a little bit overdressed speaking to you today, but
I feel overdressed.
Yeah, I know, when you find out who we're speaking to. But anyway, welcome to the ICMS Open Day, and I guess the really fun stuff about ICMS is not only meeting our current students, but also our alumni. And we have, usually with alumni, we get them in a few years after they graduate, but this guy, it's been a while.
It has been a while. I think I finished in 2012. So
2012, okay. So
10 years later.
10 years, still looking great. So everyone, I want to introduce you to Brenden Hartmann. Brenden is actually the CEO of Budgy Smuggler. So for those of you who don't know what that is, please leave the room now because you should. It's an incredibly successful Australian business, and it's a pleasure to have Brenden with us today. And what we wanted to talk about is just your time at ICMS, your amazing company, and then also, I guess, the future of Budgy and I guess how COVID has affected it too. So take us back to 2009, 10, 11, 12, when you were thinking about ICMS, starting to study at ICMS, and obviously your journey here.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Manly, so I went to school across the road at St Paul's, and it was a natural fit for me to come across the road to here because it was, not only the convenience, but I could get a great degree right in my own backyard. So that was really convenient for me as well and ticked a lot of boxes. Yeah, my time here was great. So I studied business admin and sports management.
Yep. We
had a great crew that have gone on to do some pretty incredible things. Some were working with Football Australia, some were working at ARU with the Wallabies. They've picked up some amazing jobs. So I think our crew particularly have gone on to do amazing things, as well as the rest of the cohort that were studying other stuff. There was a small gap in my studies. I disappeared for about a year and a half to go chase a professional rugby dream, and clearly, because no one remembers the name, it didn't work out for me. So I came back and finished my studies in 2012.
Yep.
I loved it. The vibe that's created around here with the mix of people that live on campus and the ones that come for the day, everyone kind of gets along. I think, is the icebreaker still a thing?
I believe so.
First party of term, which kind of literally breaks the ice for everyone.
Yeah.
So things like that, the culture around here was great. Everyone had a good time.
That's so cool. And I notice you use the word "my crew," and I just want to kind of go back to that because I think this is something incredibly unique about ICMS. It sounds like you're still in touch with the people that you studied with. Sounds like, may have gone to some of their weddings, attended their divorces, I'm not sure. But, you have kept in contact with a lot of your, your classmates.
Definitely. I still see a lot of them fairly regularly.
Yep.
And most of it's by chance, I will admit. But even driving in today, I see James outside directing people to where they should go, and I see Phil Watson from time to time. We chat online and whatnot. I still see a few mates. We go down to the rugby, and I still see a few of them down there. So we're all still keeping in touch just by chance, just by being around. Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
nice.
Yeah, and during your studies, as all of you know, it's called WIL now. In your time, probably would have been called industry training.
Yep.
Where did you do that, and how did that go and relate to kind of leading towards Budgy?
Yeah, it was an interesting time for us for our year. So we all graduated 2008 from high school, and 2008, 2009 was the last GFC, essentially. So the positions were few and far between for our group, but we still all managed to find a place. I had two in the end. One was I pitched in helping out down at a surf education company down in Manly, training high school students about knowledge about the surf and just being safe in the water.
Yep.
And then the other one was an events company that was looking after corporate barefoot bowls events down at Manly Bowling Club. So that was pretty great, but it wasn't just like sort of on the greens. It was in the office. It was the bookings. It was the account side. It was just the market. Like we touched everything because there was a team of 5. So
yeah, cool.
Yeah, we got to see everything.
And so we get to your 1.5 years, which we're not going to talk about in the rugby chase. We get through that, and you graduate in 2012.
Yep.
did Budgy happen straight away? How did it lead up towards, where you're at now?
Sure. So Budgy had actually started prior. So Adam Linforth is the owner.
Yep.
He took over the business in 2008 when it actually started in 2003. So for those that think it's an overnight success that have actually heard of it, it's definitely not. It's been running for 15 years.
Yep.
Almost 20 now. So it was operational, but I started in 2014. Would go in for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, just send some orders, order some stock, post some pictures, and that was kind of my role.
Yeah, right.
And then sort of by 2015, it had grown to a point where I became Budgy's first full-time employee and was the general manager of a loss-making swimwear company.
Nice.
Yeah, solid.
That looked good on a poster.
It would be great.
Yeah.
It would be great.
Okay, so, when I think of Budgy, I think of kind of quite out there marketing, taking a lot of risks.
Yep.
Was that always the kind of how the company worked, or did that evolve into something that, firstly, was it quite conservative, or has it always been that look and feel?
It always had to be like attention grabbing because it is such a unique item of clothing and it's not everyone's flavour. So when this brand started in sort of early 2000s, the style of swim at the time was either like knee-length board shorts from American surf culture, or we're going the other end of the spectrum where it's literally Speedo and they're fit and high-performing athletes. There was nothing really in between.
Or Italian men, the
Euro trunks.
Yeah.
And so but the physique and that kind of stuff of the professional athlete isn't attainable to the everyday human being. So we kind of had to make waves in other areas where we couldn't go into swimming pools because that was sewn up by the Speedos of the world. And then the other side of it is trying to change a culture and trying to change a swim culture from wearing shorts in the pool versus, or a beach, to wearing swimwear. So we decided to compete where there was less competition. And now a large portion of our market is built on sports people, and not swimmers. So we make swimwear for the NRL and the AFL, Cricket Australia, Football Australia, where not any of those sports involves water. So our largest market is sports people, and that a lot of them wear them under their clothing while they are competing.
Yeah, right.
So we found a bit of a niche there, and then that was enough to get the brand a bit of momentum.
Yep.
Marketing side, we do like a bit of tongue in cheek. We don't like to take ourselves too seriously.
And we've noticed that.
Yep. One of our biggest sort of marketing sort of campaigns was going back to 2016. We did a search for Australia's most ordinary rig, where again, touch on the Speedo stuff. It was your ripped up Australian dude, which is the top 2 to 3% of
us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then, so we decided to target the top of the bell curve. It's the everyday human being. It's the average male.
Yep.
And we searched for Australia's most ordinary rig. It was a social campaign to start with, and it was almost like a nominate a mate or nominate yourself kind of vibe. And the whole campaign was around people being accepting of body shapes and types. It's more about the type of person rather than the body that's wearing them. And it was fantastic. We had these 10 blokes fly in from around the country. They did a Victoria's Secret style fashion parade. They had angel wings. They had the works. So it was Ivy Pool, and they did a fantastic job.
I wish we had pictures right now.
I mean, and that summer we sold out of like extra large to double extra large.
Wow.
Because
it's cool.
It changed the perception of who could wear these things.
Yep.
Something very different.
Yeah, I'm just picturing angel wings right now. So, you mentioned earlier, a bit of tongue-in-cheek about the fact that Budgy wasn't making money. When was the turning point? When was the time where you were like, shit, this is actually turning into something that could, be a huge business?
Yeah, it definitely was. So I will admit, in my early days starting there, it was just for me to have a job.
Yep.
And then after a while, I couldn't tell you the exact moment where the kind of penny dropped and it was like, it could be onto something here. This is getting momentum. 2016, 2017 was technically the first year Budgy ever made a profit. So for those starting small businesses and stuff, like it took at least 10 years for Adam's ownership to actually get some money back. Just context for everyone doing it themselves. But it's been fascinating being part of this because, and not just since my time, but the growth of the company has been very consistent around sort of like 30 to 50% every single year, which is, I understand they're quite absurd numbers to throw out.
Yep.
And it is consistent for at least the 10 years I've been there. It's been fascinating to watch.
So when I also think of Budgy, I think of colours.
Yep.
How do you guys decide your colours? Because they're crazy and really, really interesting, and it's quite unique as well. Most and I've noticed swimwear companies are copying it now. So how do you stay ahead of the curve when it seems like a lot of people are using colour now?
It's actually not a straightforward process.
Yeah.
We kind of call it the pub test. And to be completely frank, a lot of designs come from the pub. On a Saturday or Friday, someone will say, hey, you should do a design with this. It's like, okay, just kind of send a note in my phone and float it to the designers and someone will make something and go, yeah, it looks pretty cool, let's do that. There is
some out there pub examples for us that have actually come off.
Probably the most aggressive one actually came from a Bucks party, and it's like it's a brown.
Just shifting my seat, right?
It's a brown snake print with a big cobra head on the front. So use your imagination or look it up online. So, but hey, every so often, someone will buy 20 of them because they're going on a trip. Like it's absurd. Yeah.
I hope we don't see that. Manly this afternoon. So. And where is it? What are the colours now? Are you still going bright and?
Absolutely. So we do have a theme. We don't want to be plain. We don't want to fit in with other swimwear brands. And you mentioned yourself, a lot of them are now coming across to our side of the fence, which is fantastic. Like we also love that. We don't see it as like competition per se. It's like they're also competing against board shorts. Yeah. So the more work that they are doing, they're actually helping us. Yeah. Okay. And we'll just take them anyway. Yeah, nice. But yeah, the prints, we like to make something that is remarkable. That's like the buzzword, remarkable. Yep. So something that's worth making a comment about, basically. So if it's a print that pops up on our designer's screen, or they send it to, like they submit it as the stock design, it's kind of like, what's the immediate reaction? If someone goes, that's the one, I like that. Okay. Even if they say that is gross, like it's still a remark, and we probably will still make it. Yep. Because it's shock factor. It's something that is worth making a comment about. So I know we're not in the pub, but can I suggest? Yeah. Budgy Smugglers with the castle on the back. Oh, some ICMS ones. Some ICMS ones. Iconic. Yeah. Worth making a remark about. Yeah. I think I'd remember that if I saw someone walking down Manly with that. So let's talk about. Yeah, we'll chat. We'll chat royalties after. Yeah, absolutely. So COVID affected everyone. How did it affect you guys? Because I think about people went to the beach a lot. Yeah. Right? Did sales go up during the lockdown, or how did it? What happened? So initially no, because there was that whole. Well, again, shock factor, but in a bad way, where there was a lot of uncertainty and people really didn't know what was going on. So we took a bit of a hit to the point where we have a small team. At the time, we might have had 8 or 9 full-time staff. Yep. And we kind of had to band together, and the group, which most companies, I hope, did, instead of laying people off, we all agreed to take a pay cut to let the company survive. Yep. It was either that or say goodbye to someone. So we banded together for that. Yeah, nice. And then once we got the business back running to an acceptable level, everyone went back to normal pay. And then, a lot of people were at the beach. A lot of people were work from home, which is not a thing. People are at the beach. And we were fine. Like, we're almost... like, it's not a real term, but in a way, the product is kind of recession-proof.
Yep.
Where the big things that happen during a recession or a downturn in the economy is like people stop buying jet skis and boats, like, and other stuff, big stuff.
Yep.
Whereas, like, we're an item of clothing, people still kind of need it, although it's not necessarily a necessity. Like, if people want to go swimming, they need to wear something. So, in a way, it was kind of recession-proof. We didn't succeed or grow too much during that whole debacle of the last 2 years.
Yep.
But we were okay. We came out the other end.
Yeah, nice.
We were probably more affected abroad, where, like, that health situation abroad, like, we have an office in the UK now.
Okay.
They copped it.
Yep.
A lot harder than we did.
Yep.
Their situation was a lot more dire than ours, in hindsight.
Yep.
But everything's kind of come back to normal, and the team has grown. We've got 22 staff around the globe now, which is cool.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're going okay.
So you mentioned countries.
Yep.
And I was thinking about that. Where, apart from Australia, where else are there people with cobras walking around the beach? What countries are your products sold?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to oversell it, but it like most.
Okay.
Which is wild. But our main focus for the next sort of 2 to 5 years, obviously continue to grow in Australia. We still have a lot to do.
Yep.
We're heavily based on the east side of the country. We want to grow in the west and the south.
Yep.
We have an office in London, I mentioned, in the UK, so they look after the majority of the UK and European side of things.
Yep.
Big in France. The French love it. So, the French government have actually legislated in our favour. Pure coincidence. You're not allowed to wear shorts in public swimming pools. So if ever there was a market that plays into our favour, it's the French. Like, part of us think it was a bit of a stuff you to American surf culture from the French. So
yeah.
They claim it's like health and safety, kind of like hygiene stuff, so we'll take it as well.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, we have some form of presence in the States, not physically, but we send there, we ship there daily. New York, Texas and California are the 3 big ones.
Wow.
And then expat hubs like Hong Kong and Dubai, they go really well for us as well.
Yep.
It's fascinating.
I should have done my research on this, but I don't know if...
Ask away.
Female swimwear.
Yep.
Are you in it?
Yep.
And how's it going? And do you feel there's a growth there for your business?
Massively. So it's funny, the women's swimwear came around because half of the traffic to our website is women buying for men in their, or was women buying for men in their lives. Brothers, boyfriends, partners, fathers, whoever.
Yep.
Friends. And the voice got louder and louder saying, hey, where's our stuff? And so we decided to make some women's stuff. And to date, it's mostly been about function, so a lot of lap swimmers and kind of the sports style of swimwear, where we will transition into the more fashionable style stuff that you'll see down at the beach day to day. It goes well. It sort of makes up about sort of 20-30% of the business now.
Okay.
And that chunk of the pie is getting bigger and bigger, which is really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's great to have Brenden here, and we have open floor for any questions that you might have for him, particularly being ICMS alum, and really appreciate you always coming back and helping us out. So does anyone have any questions at all to start off with? Yep, go ahead.
You see a lot of NRL players wearing Budgy smugglers. How did that trend come across?
I actually, when you said that, I realised I didn't finish my point earlier. So when I mentioned that brands like Speedo had locked up the swimming industry, we decided to compete where there was less competition. And so the rugby union and rugby league crew were really big parts of how we grew. Adam, who owns the brand, he worked full-time for a company called AIM Mentoring. They mentor Aboriginal high school students to progress past high school. And he met a lot of these. George Rose, for one, big Indigenous rugby league player, met them through his work at AIM, and they became the pioneers in that world for this style of swimwear outside of the pool. one of the funny stories from George Rose in particular is he played for the Manly Sea Eagles, and they were sponsored by another swimwear brand I won't mention, and they were sponsored by this other company, and they came into the sheds and handed out pairs to subjectively the better looking players in the team. So think back to the 2000s, it was your Brett Stewarts and your Wolfman, David Williams on the wing, and they just fed pairs to these boys. So George Rose rang and said, mate, this company has just come in and fed pairs to all the good looking fellas and not given us big boys anything. Can you help us out a bit? So fed George a handful of pairs, and he said, I'll make sure the boys get around it.
Triple XL?
Lots of large sizes.
Yeah.
And one of the best things that happened that year was two things. One, Manly spent a lot of the time wearing white shorts, so you could see our logo through the pants. And two, George's shorts were so loose that he just kept getting pants. He kept getting pulled down. And it got to the point where George would wear a different pair every week, and people, like commentators like Brad Fittler before he was coaching, would ask George on Channel 9 live TV, George, what pair of budgies are you wearing tonight? Wow. George would turn around and pull down his pants. Like, these are things that you can't plan. Like, you can't ask someone to do that on TV, but the types of people that got around the company were big pioneers for the success in the rugby circles. Yeah. Fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that George doesn't have to pay for budgies ever.
I don't think George ever has. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
What great publicity.
Yeah,
and
bizarre.
It's great because Kane actually works for ICMS and is a rugby league player, so he probably is wearing them right now.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So it's crazy how things, particularly, and that's even before, like, imagine if that happened now with TikTok and how it would blow up crazy. Yeah. Like, you did that before, like, viral videos were even a thing.
Well, a lot of
pretty incredible.
Yeah, a lot of Budgy happened prior to Facebook, and particularly Instagram, because Facebook only really became a thing over here, particularly like 2007, 8.
Yeah.
And so Budgy was founded before that, and then Instagram only became a thing, I don't know, early 2010s maybe.
Yeah.
And so again, it was not a time for social media, even e-com. Like, people were still uncertain about buying clothing online because you like to touch and feel and you like to try things on.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of uncertainty. So we had to break down a lot of barriers in the early days just to get some sort of traction. So technology's worked in our favour, even on the manufacturing side of things as well.
Yep.
Where, you know, I should have touched on it earlier. We make all of our swimwear here in Sydney, which is something we're really proud of. A fun fact for anyone is that we actually used to have all of our swimwear made in the Bonds factory, which was out west, up until Bonds moved their manufacturing overseas, which sadly ended about 500 plus jobs out west. So from that moment, we kind of made this plan or this action to keep our manufacturing in Australia because we saw what it did personally. And so the argument back in the day was that you can make swimwear overseas for half the price. It's like, yeah, well, we can, but there's also a bit of heart in this. Like, it's an Australian product. Like, thinking back to when it was actually founded, it's Speedos in general. It was founded in Australia, that type of swimwear. So making that overseas doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And so we've made it our mission to make it here. Technology's gotten better, where the price of making it overseas versus making it here now, the difference is only a few dollars.
Yeah.
And that those few dollars are peace of mind, because if we were making overseas, particularly the last 2 years with this pandemic, when particularly China shut down, we have no product. So in hindsight, I'm pretty proud that we still make it here.
And that's really awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool, because if Australia looked after more Australians, we'd be in a better spot.
Yeah.
I think Catalina might have a question.
What would you think that has been like the best strategy that you guys have implemented in regards to like brand awareness?
Apart from George.
Apart from George Rose.
Yeah.
So it's been a long-term project. We've never gone for like the overnight success story. There's never been a Bieber or Kardashian moment where someone like that has worn the product in a live or national setting and it's skyrocketed overnight. So the brand presence and the brand building has happened by looking after the people in our tent already, and that is our existing customers. So we sponsor / turn up to a lot of local events with the tent, or we provide vouchers, and we at some stage we genuinely focus on our own backyard. So Manly is our backyard. We got involved with the rugby club, the cricket club, the surf club. It's kind of it's stickiness when people at a community level can see and see that a brand is involved. That again generates a feeling. It's the intangible stuff that you can't measure.
Yep.
It's not the Facebook ads. It's not the billboards. And to date, we haven't done TV ads. So none of that stuff plays a part in what we're building a brand. And we just want to build something people are proud of, which again, it's why we make things here. But yeah, the brand building is just having a community around us that we can support. We fully believe in swings and roundabouts. What we give out usually comes back. So that's kind of how we're going about building this at the moment, yeah.
But let's be serious. Do you have a TikTok? And let's see some of the videos.
We do have TikTok. I have not featured in any. I don't dance and cannot. Instagram and TikTok are funny beasts.
They are.
And back to our content, we try and just either entertain or educate people. We either educate them about the Australian-made stuff and how manufacturing actually works,
yep.
or we just try and entertain and make something that's going to make people laugh. Yeah, I can't say there's too much more thought in it than that. If anyone's
Which is kind of perfect for TikTok, right? Like, I mean,
perfect.
That's kind of what it is.
It's there's no finished, there's no shine on the product.
No.
It's just here's a video filmed with my iPhone 6.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's entertaining.
Yeah. So do you guys, we're talking about the colour stuff, but do you have someone who comes up with your videos?
Yep.
Because I think there'd be some good ones, wouldn't there?
There's some crackers. Like we've had, particularly in the last sort of 3 months, we've had several videos reach millions of people, which is insane in itself. Like, so I mentioned we have a team of 22 around the globe. So in Sydney, we have 15 of those. Just one of those is focused on video content. But like he's the one with the camera and the scripting and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But everyone in the office has a phone. So while yes, it is his priority to get the content out, if someone sees something or has an idea and they bust out their phone and pull it out, that we essentially have 15 content creators in the office.
Yeah,
like,
nice.
Yeah, some of them are just better than others.
Yeah. Any last questions? Well, thank you so much, mate. It's
Appreciate it.
For us as ICMS, we're incredibly proud of you, and you're our product. So all you have to do is listen to this and realise why we're proud of our alumni. So really appreciate you coming in, and good luck with the Castle Budgies that will be coming out soon.
This summer.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Todd.
Cheers.